Hey guys, this is Chaplain Bo Willette out in Tucson, Arizona. Hope you guys are doing good and miss seeing you this season. But we're going to continue our little time in the book of First Peter, chapter 3. And I know you guys are super busy. This is going to be a real interesting time, interesting passage of scripture. Some people really struggle with this, but let me give you a little background into this section. Peter, this big fisherman dude that I told you about, and you guys might have heard of Peter, the apostle, but he talks about Jesus, and he talks about how Jesus was a guy who submitted himself even to people, even to authorities, and that put him on the cross. Obviously, as he was arrested and tried in a mock trial, and the leader of Rome wanted to the governor, if you will, wanted to let him go, but the people of Israel, especially the religious leaders of his day, did not want Jesus alive. And Jesus, it says there was no sin committed in him. There was no insults in his mouth, meaning he didn't insult people. And Jesus himself was insulted at, meaning they insulted him. But it says that he committed himself to God who judges righteously. That's what Jesus did. Is he said, "Hey, my Father can judge these people. I'm not going to judge them." And that's pretty awesome example to us when we get bent and we want to do things um, in our own way. To remember that Jesus was a person who could come underneath authority and submit to authority, even when authority was off track and doing the wrong thing. And that's hard in our world today. A lot of us don't have such an eternal perspective. Like Jesus knew what heaven was like. He's from heaven. He knew his hometown, if you will, and he knew that when he died, he was going back to the Father. He even said that. And so for him, it's like, he could submit himself knowing that there was a future reward. And that's always good to know. You'll go through the pain if you know there's future reward. Now, does that sound like something that's true in your life too? Won't you go through pain knowing that there's future reward? Won't you submit yourself to even another human being? You'll come underneath them in rank. You'll put themselves underneath that person or that system, right? We all have a job. We're underneath some system, and we live within that means of that system according to the laws of that system, knowing that there's a future reward. See, Jesus was so sure of the future reward of being back with his Father in a place that's not like this place that he put himself underneath the authorities of that day, which was the religious leaders in Israel, known as the Sanhedrin, or the Roman governor, known as Pontius Pilate. And pretty radical. Now, when Pontius Pilate came to Jesus and said, "Don't you know I have the authority to kill you?" Jesus said, "You have no authority that has not been given to you by my Father." That must have been a radical statement for Pontius Pilate to hear. Because, Rome thought they were the big dog, they were the head honcho. And what Jesus is saying is, no way, man. There's something greater even than you, even than your empire. And that's good for us to realize. But you kind of understand that idea of submitting, and Jesus comes underneath this authority. Now, with that understanding of Jesus being that example of someone who comes underneath someone in authority, even when they're not doing good, Peter then launches into this thing about husbands and family life, basically. He says, "Wives, in the same way, just like Jesus, come underneath your husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior that you have. Isn't that amazing? So he says, just as Jesus did it, so wives do the same thing. Your husband's acting like a jerk, right? He's just not on the good page. Learn how to commit him to the hands of the Father. Learn how to commit that your husband to God. God can judge your husband far better than you can. It doesn't mean that you don't talk to your husband and you don't say anything to your husband about, hey, like, what are you doing? Nothing, it doesn't say that. But the overall attitude, the principle, if you will, that can regulate a wife's heart is one of saying, hey, just as Jesus Christ put himself under authority, knowing there was future reward, so I am going to put myself under volitionally, under authority, so that I expect future reward as well. And that was the mind of Jesus Christ. It's a mindset that's lost today because people think that they have these rights and that if they do what they feel is right, they win what they want to do. And that's how they define success. Instead of, in a sense, living to please God, they live to please themselves. We live to please ourselves. We want to get over on other people. We want our way. It's no different from like when children are playing and they want to do what they want to do. Don't you see the selfishness in it? Don't you see that that's not the beneficial way to live? But what we've done is we've kind of created in culture just grown up elementary school kids where all of us are wanting to do what we want to do. And if anybody says anything otherwise, they're in the wrong. And we're going to get at them. And it's not just they're wrong, but it's revenge. We need to get at them. Well, it says for our family life to be a life of peace, that we need to learn how to come underneath one another. And here specifically, it says for wives to come underneath their husband, knowing that there's future reward for them. Future reward in what, you might ask? Well, in God. There's a future reward in God. See, there's peace in living in step with God. There's peace with that. And there's not much peace in getting your way all the time because you find yourself being selfish, prideful, boasting, puffed up, self-righteous, and that what we call that person is a person that's a narcissist, is that constantly about themselves. And so it says that a husband might be won over. Then it says then it says your beauty, and it's talking about a wife, right? It says a wife's beauty should not come from outward adornment only, right? Such as elaborate hairstyles or the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of the inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Now, this is cool too. So it's talking about, hey, sometimes we focus so much on what is hot, what is awesome, the outside, that we forget, the most beautiful attributes that a wife could have. And that is, what does it say? A quiet spirit, right? A gentle and quiet spirit. And it says it's of great worth in God's sight. See, the Bible teaches that mankind judges on the outside, but God judges the intent of the heart. He looks within us. He looks at our mind, right? And he sees the way we think, our thoughts, our motivations. And he sees that the person who's focused just on self and on pleasing others through the way they look, that's a dead end. There's going to come a time where, guess what? The hairs might fall out. The skin might wrinkle. And it's not that I shouldn't even use the term might, is it will. It will. Unless we could come up with a way to change physics, literally physics, right? The second law of thermodynamics, that things are constantly running down. If we can change stars from dying, right? planets from decaying, plants from dying, trees from dying, animals from dying, then maybe we can get to the human being from dying as well. We have to change death itself, the nature of death itself. Now, this is what Jesus came to do, by the way, is change the very nature of death. That's why he entered into death, to literally have God touch it. Boom. And God, who is life, when he touches something, it raises up. It comes to life. Hence what we call the resurrection. And that's kind of heady, but kind of cool, when you think about it. Whatever God touches comes to life. God breathed into man and Adam was formed, right? Breath, that kind of idea, life. So, we all know this to be true, that, you can only focus on the outside oh so much, right? There's not a longevity. And this is another good point, I think, just in life in general for all of us, whether you're a wife, whether you're a husband, male, female, whatever gender even you want to call yourself. This is a truth, is that life should be lived with future benefit in mind. Because that's what hope is. Hope is a sure foundation of future benefit. That's what the definition of hope is. A sure foundation, not a wishful thinking, but a sure foundation in future benefit. And if all your hope is in something that only is going to last a short period of time, what is the reasoning for that? Is that a good reasoning? Is that the best reasoning? So why do we eat good? It's not just to feel good in the here and now, but we're hoping for a future benefit for that. Why do we drink good water? Because we hope for a better benefit, a future benefit in that. Why do we wash our hands? Because we're hoping for a future benefit in that, not just in the here and now, but in the future as well. We hope that if we continue to do that, the ramifications of cleanliness will be longevity of life. And that's been true when you study, um, you know, the diseases that have struck mankind. What has helped out human beings to ward off these things, and that is cleanliness. And you guys work out, and you guys endure pain. And why do you do that? For a paycheck, for future benefit. That's why. See, short-term gain can be long-term pain, right? Short-term gain can equal long-term pain. And we don't want to do that. We want to live as those who are going to live forever. And so we want to think that way. What is the benefit? What is the future benefit of that? And so, yeah, nothing's wrong with a wife. It's not saying nothing's wrong for a wife to be beautiful and do her hair, but the idea is that that shouldn't be the utmost focus in her world, right? That the beauty of our wives, and the beauty of a husband should be not just what's on the outside, but what the character qualities of that person. And that's what's so important about these kind of studies. And you might go, man, Bo, I'm getting tired of your studies. But this is why it's important, because even in today's world, people are forgetting that what makes people so valuable is the character of their conduct, not the color of your skin. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. said, right? He wishes a day that people wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character of their conduct. That is what really matters, is your character, how you're doing, what you're doing in your life. And how we judge if something is good or not good, one of the ways is by future benefit. Is it something that can carry on, can have long-term implications that are beneficial, not just to myself, but to others as well. And so our culture gets very confused with these things because it doesn't really have a good principle balance. They don't. A lot of people don't have chaplains in their life, or people that can go over principle living with them, and so they forget that, hey, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside per se. It's a matters about what's going on in here, and that's how we should look at people. Even though it's so sad that we are so focused on sometimes what's on the outside of people, what that girl looks like, what that guy looks like, these kind of things, we forget about really what makes life tick, what really is going to help out a family. And so, what do you want to do with your kids? What do you want to do with your wife? Do you want to say, hey, just look good on the outside? Let's try to make you a yacht on the outside, but the inside you're nothing. The engine's crud, but you look like a yacht. Or would you rather be a cargo ship, man, that can just bolt all the way through the sea like no problem, go over big giant waves and everything, but it don't look maybe that great. It's well worn, let's say, the cargo ship, but it certainly can get through the sea. Now, I use that idea of cargo ship. Have you ever heard the word apostle? The word apostle means to be sent out, and it would be used to describe cargo ships of that day, of the day of the writing of the Bible. So when they use the word apostle, which apostle, the word sent out just meant sent out, was a secular word. It was a word that was used in secular society. It meant to send out, like a cargo ship, a ship that carried valuable cargo. Now, this is an important principle. What makes the cargo ship important? Is it what it looks like? Or is it what it carries inside? Yeah, it's what carries inside. That's what becomes valuable, and has longevity with it. And if you were in need, what would you rather have? What would you rather be in? A cargo ship that's filled with cargo that you can use? Or would you rather be in the sea in a beautiful, beautiful yacht with barely anything inside of it? And there's a no-brainer. I'd rather be in the cargo ship, man. A lot of supplies, a lot of room for supplies. I got food for a long period of time. See, the longevity matters. Things that for future benefit. And when we're old, which we all are going to get old, and we will get rusty, saggy, the knees will go out, the hips will go out, everything will go out, unfortunately. When you look at your wife and when your wife looks at you, you want to be able to have something inside that you find super beautiful with one another. Not what's on the outside. That is all going to go away. So we have to make sure that our value is not fully in that. But what's on the inside is going to be there for the whole way, the whole time we're together, our whole entire life. And that is what makes living with someone so beautiful and so fun. It's how they are. They're little idiosyncrasies, the things that they do that you find so cute and so kind of like, man, that's so funny, that's so cool. And the way they think, and their heart behind their actions, their love for people, their compassion for you, their patience, all these things, those are the things that matter. The hearts they have for your children. I love my wife. She's such a counselor, and I tell you, she's been such a counselor to our kids, and man, I just think of that and I just well up and go, man, dude, she's amazing, just off the charts, amazing. To sit for hours and counsel them and help them through situations and work with them on anything. Has just been super valuable. But I hope you can see how important it is. So some people look at these passages in the Bible and they kind of go, oh, that's so bad. That's so wrong. And man, that sounds so archaic. Man, it ain't archaic at all. As you can see, these principles are super important. If you throw this out, you truly are going the way of narcissism. And, you're going through a short term gain, and there's unfortunately going to be a long term pain. So the way of Christ is the right way. It's an awesome way. And the Bible's always saying it's the better way. So, hey, you guys take care, okay? Bye bye.